Hello, and welcome to part 2 of our 2-part transcontinental Amtrak journey from Richmond, Virginia to Los Angeles, California. Part 2 will feature Amtrak's Southwest Chief from Chicago to Los Angeles. If you didn't catch part 1, you can also find it on my YouTube channel where we went from Richmond, Virginia to Chicago, Illinois on the Northeast Regional and Capital Limited services. To begin part 2, we are at Chicago's Union Station, having just arrived from Washington, D.C. on the Capital Limited. We checked into the Metropolitan Lounge and dropped our bags off and had a quick afternoon exploring Chicago before our 2:50 p.m. departure. It's really cold. That looks interesting. Interesting. After a brief and very cold walk, we returned to Union Station to wait for our train. We went to the Metropolitan Lounge to wait for our train. The Metropolitan Lounge in Chicago Union Station is available for sleeping car and first-class passengers. It offers a quiet and private area to wait for your train, as well as complimentary food and beverages. If you're old enough to remember the old first-class lounge at Chicago, it had a boarding door that took you right out to the tracks. From the new Metropolitan Lounge, you have to walk through the concourse to get out to the train platform. At just before 2:30 p.m., we were called to board our train, the Southwest Chief, to Los Angeles. Like the Capital Limited, the Southwest Chief is equipped with bi-level superliner cars. The consist for our train today featured 2 P-42 locomotives, followed by a transition sleeper and a normal superliner sleeper, a dining car, sightseer lounge, a coach car, and a coach baggage car. This consist is fairly anemic compared to what used to be run on this train in years past.
I'll be back a little bit later this afternoon, make some more announcements regarding reservations. So until that time, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Thank you.
As we depart Chicago, we begin our 2,265-mile journey over the course of 3 days and 8 states to Los Angeles, California. We are in a lower-level room on the Southwest Chief. I used to try to avoid lower-level rooms, but after riding in them a few times, I actually prefer them to upper-level roomettes. They're right next to the bag rack if you need to get anything out of your bag, and it tends to be quieter with less people walking by during the night. One potential downside could be that it is a little bit of a rougher ride at times with more lateral movements. Also, the view from the lower level isn't quite the same as what you'd get on the upper level just based on the height, although I felt like the view was perfectly adequate for our purposes.
Amtrak train number 3, making all scheduled station stops between Chicago and Los Angeles, including all the intermediate stops. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome all our passengers joining us here today. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please have all tickets out. Ladies and gentlemen, do ask please to not move around until your ticket has been scanned and a seat check has been placed above your seat if you're seated in coaches. While you are seated at your seats, please take a moment to look at the passenger safety instructions in the pouch in front of you, and please be aware of all the emergency exits. As you walk throughout the train, please wear your shoes at all times. That's for safety reasons. Also, as you walk through the train, please use the seat backs and overhead luggage rack for support. As you walk in between the cars, please use the candy stripe handrails for support. For those passengers using electronic devices, we do require that you use headphones at all times when in use. It is for the courtesy of the passengers around you. That includes any items that give off any type of noise or music. We do require that you use headphones at all times when in use. At least have them mute. For those passengers traveling with children, please keep your eyes on your children at all times. Please make sure they do not run it up throughout the train. Also, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure they do not wander around the train alone. And just a reminder, this is a completely non-smoking train. Smoking is not allowed anywhere on this train. That includes the restrooms, the areas between the cars, as well as sleeping car accommodations. That's all areas aboard the train are completely non-smoking. Ladies and gentlemen, your first official stop for a smoke break is Kansas City, Missouri. So this time, ladies and gentlemen, we just departed Chicago. Our first station stop this afternoon will be Naperville, Illinois. And after Naperville will be Mendota, then Princeton, and then Galesburg, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, this time, please have our tickets out and take this time, sit back, relax, and enjoy your ride.
between Naperville and Mendota, we were really kicking up snow. Being on the lower level really gives you a cool perspective on this. As we continued to race west across Illinois, we were treated to a very pretty sunset. On the right-hand side of the train, some snow had begun to accumulate within the vestibule of the car. The attendant placed some towels within the door and on the floor, which seemed to alleviate that issue. As we continue west across Illinois, we passed a large wind farm. We have stayed on time thus far, and we're approaching our next stop at Galesburg, Illinois. As we arrive in Galesburg, I managed to capture our arrival on the Virtual Railfan YouTube channel. Between Galesburg and Fort Madison, we crossed the Mississippi River and across into the state of Iowa. At this point, we were called for our 6 p.m. dinner reservation and went to the dining car. I've included some pictures of the food options and the menu. The Southwest Chief features full-service dining, which was an upgrade from the flexible dining menu that we had on the Capital Limited. As we cross the Mississippi River, we see our train arriving in Fort Madison, Iowa. Fort Madison is at the very southeast corner of the state of Iowa and is our only stop in the state of Iowa. Additionally, Fort Madison is a smoke stop or fresh air break where you're able to step off the train for a few moments to get some fresh air and stretch your legs, which we certainly did in this case. The depot in Fort Madison is fairly recently refurbished. The former stop in Fort Madison was essentially a freight office for BNSF and offered minimal amenities and a short platform. We've left Fort Madison and will soon cross into the state of Missouri. Our next stop will be La Plata, Missouri. The Southwest Chief travels at speeds near 90 miles per hour through much of the state of Missouri. I was somewhat surprised that the ride was as smooth as it was for the speeds we were going. The Southwest Chief is one of the few Amtrak routes that goes above 79 miles per hour on a long-distance train. This is based on a federal regulation that precludes speeds greater than 80 miles per hour without some form of train control. The Chief can go 90 miles per hour due to a system called ATS, or Automatic Train Stop, installed by the Santa Fe Railway. After we leave Kansas City, our speed limit will be no greater than 79 miles per hour until we get to Albuquerque. We are arriving in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City is a smoke stop and service stop for our train and gives us an opportunity to step off the train and take some pictures and stretch our legs. I decided to step off the train in Kansas City for a brief moment. Our train was parked next to the Missouri River Runner, which operates from St. Louis to Kansas City and Chicago. I already had my pajamas on when we got off in Kansas City, and it was legitimately freezing, so I quickly got back on the train. As we depart Kansas City, it's soon to be bedtime for me. I did take the lower bunk to get better views out of the window. Shortly before we arrived in Kansas City, the attendant had put the beds down into the sleeping configuration. West of Kansas City, we take a brief pause in Argentine Yard for a refueling stop. After leaving Argentine Yard, I went to bed and we took an east-west track across the state of Kansas. We make several stops in the state of Kansas, including the capital of Topeka, Kansas. I slept through most of the night, but woke up just outside of Garden City, Kansas. Good morning and welcome to Day 2 on Amtrak Southwest Chief. I woke as we were departing Garden City, Kansas, en route to our next stop of Lamar, Colorado. The Southwest Chief features one of the few remaining areas of jointed rail on mainline railroads. Jointed rail is what gives the train the clickety-clack sound and often makes for a little bit of a bumpy ride. As we watch the sunrise, we are approaching our next station stop of Lamar, Colorado. Our route between Newton, Kansas and Lamar, Colorado features some of the few remaining areas of jointed rail on mainline trackage. This route is still shared by some BNSF freight traffic, although much of it has been rerouted to the southern transcon. We are arriving Lamar, Colorado. Lamar is a small town in southeastern Colorado and is our first stop in the Mountain Time Zone. This will be our last stop before we arrive in La Junta. After we leave Lamar, we'll be just over 1 hour and about 52 miles from our next station stop of La Junta, Colorado, which is a fresh air and smoke stop. Between Lamar and La Junta, we went to the dining car for breakfast. The Southwest Chief offers freshly prepared meals in the dining car. The dining car on the Southwest Chief can be utilized by both coach and sleeping car passengers. Although it is included with the sleeping car fare, coach passengers can pay a flat rate per meal. I had a vegetarian omelet with roasted potatoes and a croissant. I thoroughly enjoyed the meal and it was very good. We are just east of Los Animas, Colorado. We are passing the John Martin Reservoir and State Park, which is a familiar sight on this route. John Martin Reservoir is a reservoir of the Arkansas River, which we've been closely following since we left Dodge City.
Breakfast. Okay, La Junta coming right up. If you want to step off, get some fresh air. Remember, it's going to be cold out there, though, so wear something warm. When the conductors yell all aboard, make sure you're on your way back on the train. And once again, don't go in the building or around the building. Don't want to miss the boat.
La Junta is a crew change and service stop on our train. We had about 15 minutes to disembark and walk on the platform and take some pictures and video of the train and of the station. Maybe I'm a little bit paranoid, but I never leave train side or walk any further than I can hear the conductor calling all aboard. The last thing you want is to be stranded in a small town with only once-a-day train service in each direction. We'll briefly step off here to get a look at our train consist. We are back on the move as we race towards our next station stop of Trinidad, Colorado. Between La Junta and Trinidad, we pass through some very desolate countryside in Colorado. We are closely paralleling U.S. Route 350. On this segment of the route, we pass through Delhi, Colorado. Delhi, which I think is how it's pronounced, had one of the last remaining wigwag type signals. Sadly, it was removed and replaced in 2021. Fortunately, it can still be seen by paying a visit to the Colorado Railroad Museum, where it's been preserved and on display. As we progress closer to Trinidad, we opted to go to the lounge car to see what views we could get with the large windows going over Raton Pass. Unfortunately, there were no available seats in the upper level of the lounge, but we did manage to secure a table in the lower level. We are arriving in Trinidad. Trinidad is a small town in Colorado on the eastern side of Raton Pass. Raton Pass is one of the high points on this route, no pun intended. As we depart Trinidad, we will be climbing a nearly 3% grade up Raton Pass to the summit and then down into the town of Raton. Our train slows to a crawl as we navigate the steep grades and sharp curves of Raton Pass. It's important to note that we are the only train that regularly uses Raton Pass. BNSF operates no regularly scheduled freight service west of Trinidad, although occasionally you may see a maintenance of way train going to perform work on segments of the route. As we near the summit of Raton Pass, we'll enter a tunnel. The tunnel will carry us into the state of New Mexico from Colorado. We are reaching our highest point on the route of the Southwest Chief at just over 7,500 feet. Upon leaving the tunnel, we will descend down the west slope of Raton Pass into the town of Raton, New Mexico. We have arrived in Raton, New Mexico. Raton is a crew change point for our train and an opportunity to step off the train and take some pictures and stretch your legs and get some fresh air. Raton is also the stop for Philmont Scout Ranch for the Boy Scouts of America. During certain times of the year, you may have a Boy Scout troop or two on your train going off to Philmont. We are back on the move again on some jointed rail west of Raton. We are proceeding towards our next stop of Las Vegas, New Mexico. This, of course, not to be confused with Las Vegas, Nevada. We are passing the small town of Wagon Mound, New Mexico, so named for the butte off in the distance that resembled a covered wagon in the days of wagon travel. We are accelerating back up to track speed, and if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of our P-42 diesels accelerating. After passing eastbound number 4, we are climbing up Glorieta Pass towards the town of Glorieta, New Mexico. Glorieta is yet another small town on the route of the Southwest Chief. Glorieta has just over 500 residents and actually retains a small post office, which we will see on the left side of the train. Our train has been making good progress. We just left our stop at Lamy, New Mexico and are progressing towards Albuquerque. A few miles west of Lamy, we will join track that is owned by the state of New Mexico and is shared by the New Mexico Rail Runner Service. In the distance, we can see the Sandia Mountains, so named Watermelon Mountains, as they appear bright red at sunset and the trees on the side look like seeds.
Behind schedule, ladies and gentlemen. We won't be able to tell you roughly how long we'll be here due to the fact that mechanical does need to do their work. They're going to be checking the brakes, watering the cars, fueling up the engines and other items. Once they have finished, the train will be allowed to depart, but until then they must work. If you have checked baggage here at Albuquerque, all you'll need to do is go to the train station. On the north-hand side of that building, there is a sign that says baggage. You'll be able to claim your bags there. Just give us about 5 to 10 minutes to get your bags off. That way they can be taken to the station. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, Albuquerque, New Mexico, coming up in 10 minutes' time.
We have arrived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque is a service, smoke, and fresh air stop for our train. Depending on whether or not the train is running on time, you may have between 30 minutes and just over an hour to walk up and down the platform. You can walk into the station and the area around the station, but as always, I would never venture too far from the train at the risk of being left behind. We decided to venture inside the station to check out the interior. I did find it interesting to see passengers queuing to board the train when we were just allowed to walk right back out the door and get in our car. And of course, I had to take the obligatory selfie.
You can use the sink to dump it before you throw it away. So I have fresh hot coffee, hot chocolate, and hot tea. If anyone's hungover there, got some Bloody Marys. Also, if you're hungry, I have food. If you're bored, I have decks of cards. I think I have one left. Anyway, come on down and see me after your tickets have been scanned.
It's running. Yes, the engine is cool.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the continuation of Amtrak's train number 3, the Southwest Chief, with service to Los Angeles. Here on board, as well as the locations of emergency exits. On that note, all exterior doors and windows must remain closed at all times unless opened by an informed Amtrak employee.
After we depart Albuquerque, we head pretty much due south until we get to Dalles or Dalles, New Mexico. From Dalles, we will rejoin the BNSF Transcon line as it takes us west to our next station stop of Gallup, New Mexico. After dinner, we returned to our sleeper room as we continued west towards Gallup. Overnight, we will travel at speeds near 90 miles per hour across northern Arizona.
mentioned, for those of you continuing on with us, this is a fresh air stop. If you'd like to step off the train, walk around, or light up a cigarette, you're welcome to do so. Do not wander off, remain train side. Please watch your step and use the handrails provided there for you while stepping on or off the train. Now arriving Gallup, New Mexico.
As we arrive in Gallup, I was able to capture our train arriving into the station courtesy of the Southwest Railcam's YouTube channel and live stream. After departing Gallup, we would continue west and make stops at Winslow, Flagstaff, Kingman, Needles, and Barstow before awakening in California. On our second night, I would take the upper bunk in our lower level roomette. Thus, I wouldn't really have any video of the overnight travel across Arizona and into California. We kept up speeds near 90 miles per hour through much of the night, and it was surprisingly smooth despite the high speed. BNSF seems to do a fairly good job of maintaining this track, and it was a very comfortable ride. I would awaken between Victorville and San Bernardino. Our train is still on time and actually expected to arrive in Los Angeles about 35 minutes early. It was a rainy morning as we approached Southern California and would stay rainy for pretty much the rest of our ride.
Right now, we're coming up to San Bernardino. San Bernardino is coming up next in about 9 minutes. So right now, for those passengers who aren't exiting this train in San Bernardino, please start gathering your things. Make sure you check your surrounding area. If you didn't drop anything out of your pockets while you were sleeping, again, just make sure you have everything with you. And then please proceed on down to the lower level. Use the handrails coming down those stairs. And again, it is raining outside, folks, so please watch your step when you exit the train. Be careful. San Bernardino is coming up next.
We have now arrived in our final destination of Los Angeles Union Passenger Terminal in Los Angeles, California. We arrived just over 30 minutes early at our final destination. Our early arrival was honestly almost a little bit disappointing. I wouldn't have minded to have a few extra hours in California during the daylight. Los Angeles Union Station serves as Amtrak's hub in Southern California. It is served by several Amtrak trains including the Pacific Surfliner, Southwest Chief, Sunset Limited, and the Coast Starlight, of course among numerous Metrolink and commuter trains. Our arrival concludes part 2 of our transcontinental Amtrak journey from Richmond, Virginia to Los Angeles, California. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. This is a brand new experience for me creating travel videos or YouTube videos in general. If you have any tips or suggestions about how I could improve it, please leave a comment.
If you didn't catch part 1, you can also find part 1 on my channel where we travel from Richmond, Virginia to Chicago, Illinois. Thanks so much for watching.